last thing, what advice would you give to anybody who's starting to have that questioning happening in their own heart, who's starting to do that seeking themselves?
Mm. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is dive right into prayer. Because, and I guess that could be more difficult for somebody who doesn't necessarily have the background that I had, or the childhood that I had. And I could see how that would be intimidating. But recently I heard a quote. It was actually through Exodus. It was Jake Kim was referencing the book called the 3 Stages of the Inner Life. And the quote was something along the lines of, the inner life is the inner dialogue that you have with yourself. That interior dialogue that you're always having every time you do something, and sometimes while you're doing something. And then the highest stage of that inner life is when that conversation, that internal conversation with yourself, becomes a conversation with God. And I think for somebody who might be new to prayer and hears that advice, dive right into it. It's really just offering that internal dialogue up to God, or taking that internal dialogue and allowing that idea of God, at the very least, whatever it is there, whatever you're starting to question, whatever you're starting to feel, allowing him into your internal dialogue in that way, and addressing him, with that internal dialogue, and that to me, as well as maybe the next advice I would give is find somebody who can talk to you, who also is practicing in the faith, who can give you that guidance. I mean, I'm so thankful that I had Matt. I mean, Matt's extensive knowledge, as he pursues his master's, was huge for me to go to him with questions and doubts or concerns or skepticism or aspects of Scripture, the use of language, the use of certain words in Scripture that didn't sit well with me or felt like they could be easily misinterpreted. To have that resource was not just the Scripture, and even not just the Catechism, although love the Catechism. That thing is sweet. But to have that personal resource, and then as you, the further you go along, you end up with somebody like Father Nick, and just more and more resources. Of course, they accumulate as you go on that journey. But those two things, start with prayer. I think you can start with prayer, and then I think from there God might will, in all likelihood, even guide you then to that spiritual voice, that other human voice that you might need.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
It's so good. Thank God for your faith and for the steps that you're taking in it, and keep at it, persevere.